I'm Jackie Maxted, and today I'm chatting with Mark Cavanagh, the director of Cav Con, a boutique agency specialising in events but also doing a whole lot more than that, as we'll find out today. Hello Mark. Tell me a bit about the Cav Con business. How did that all start?
It started when I left the agency that I was previously with. I did a 6-year stint with what was then a corporate public relations agency, Marita Blood and Associates, although I was brought in to develop her lifestyle section, if you will, although I'm not even so sure that that word existed back in the early to mid 80s. I'm aging myself here. And yeah, I had a 6-year tenure with her, and a thoroughly enjoyable one at that. But then set up what was then known as Mark Cavanagh and Associates, but then developed into the brand name Cav Con, which has been out there in the marketplace for about 10 years now.
What were you doing really well that was making this successful?
I like to think, and I guess it reflects something of the way I see myself, that it was a sort of a fusion of cutting edge with classic style. Like I guess I have a certain conservative nature in so many ways, but like I like to ride the zeitgeist as well, and I like to know what's happening, and you know, and I like to travel, and one of my favorite cities is New York, so you know, it's that, I guess. So it's offering, you know, established experience, but you know, being pretty cool and cutting edge at the same time.
So do brands come to you for cool?
Some do, if that's particularly where they're placed in the market. But there are other brands that we work with that cool is not really about their market position. Right.
How has the agency grown and changed and developed over the years?
I don't know that it's changed drastically. I would say that I perhaps have refined our skills, our style points or aesthetic. And I think you always keep refining, you keep learning, or at least I do. I remain though resolutely boutique, and I guess by that I mean, you know, we're a crack team of 12, and you know, I like that scale. I'm quite a hands-on operator still to this day, and yeah, I don't sort of aspire to sort of being a corporate figurehead, you know, overseeing a larger, you know, framework of a company.
So how are you involved in the sort of day-to-day business of your clients?
I'm a director in the true sense of the word. I have a hands-on role with every single account. We, you know, and quite significant input. You know, very old school in my philosophy that nothing goes out of our agency from, you know, a perspective of, say, writing without my proofreading it, etc. I'm very, some might say anal, but I am a bit of I'm a real stickler for attention to detail. That's just my nature. I can't help it.
Is that partly what makes you good, though?
I like to think so. You know, it's been said to me by, you know, some media whom I you know, respect, and was very flattered to hear that you know, receiving a media release from Cav Con, you know it's good. You just, you know, the style of writing, and you know, the fact that it's always 100% correct in every single way.
How do you respond when you see a press release written by somebody and just do not think it's worthy?
I consider it their problem, not mine. But there are times, because you know, I am proud of the industry that I am in, and I've been, you know, an active player in this industry, as suggested, for 20+ years, and it does annoy me when, you know, there are less professional operators that lower the benchmark.
What credentials do you think are the basics required for successful PR consulting?
Again, definitely your communication skills. It starts and ends with that, and most assuredly writing. Then, you know, your verbal communication skills. You know, we are probably relying on that less. You know, that when I started PR, it was all on the phone. You know, and we used to dial and pitch, you know, stories, etc., etc. And as you know only too well, you know, 80% of it now is via email, and I'll step up to the plate, or you know, to discuss with an editor if there's something significant in play or what have you. We're doing a big project at the moment that involves Nicole Richie, and there's a big issue of sensitivity, you know, surrounding her visit to Australia and the contractual limitations, if you will, and so that took a lot of, you know, verbal communication with editors, but that doesn't happen so much.
How is the changing media landscape impacting on your business?
I would say that it's become more acute. That's probably the best way I could describe it. When I first started in the industry, you know, Marita Blood & Associates had said it was a 360-degree PR company. You know, we would produce events, we would, you know, do all the media relations, we would create promotions, we would do direct marketing. It was a multifaceted, you know, marketing sphere, and now it's become extremely acute. While we do still do event production at Cav Con, it's sort of, there are agencies now that will, you know, of course, just specialise in events, or there's one agency that we work with on another one of the alcohol brands that, you know, and by the name of the projects, and they you know, their specialisation is experiential promotions, and that's all they do. There are agencies out there that focus purely on the digital landscape. There are agencies out there that focus purely on viral. That is new.
What's your mix of clients now?
It's consumer. It's all consumer. I guess, again, this overpedaled phrase, lifestyle. So it's a mixture of fashion, cosmetic, alcohol and hospitality, and then into design, and then a sort of a slight segue into some corporate work. I referenced the Nicole Richie tour, and that's part of a project that we're doing with Lend Lease and Mid City Centre, which is a big shopping centre, and so that's a bridge of sort of corporate work we do with them right through to the consumer identity, of which, you know, Nicole will be a part of. So
for you, PR is not just media relations, it's much bigger than that?
No.
Do you think people can confuse the two?
I think the laymen often confuse or have a misunderstanding of the fact that public relations is editorial focused, and they say, you know, time and time again, you know, they confuse it with advertising. So I think that's probably the biggest misconception out there.
You're certainly known, we did talk about this earlier, for doing events, and yet you've identified that really your business now is only 20% events. Why do you think you're known so strongly in that field? You're just great at parties?
I guess. We give good parties, yes. I guess because they, you know, that's right there, and it, you know, makes a lot of noise. It's right there in the front line. The media, you know, are all over it. The social pages, etc., etc., etc. You know, there's a lot of glamour associated with the events that we do.
Do you know what makes the essence of what makes an event work?
People, to start with, absolutely at core. Right. But then, you know, there's all sorts of elements that fuel it, and you know, I could segue and wax lyrically about the importance of good lighting and great sound, and but it starts and ends with people. There's a place for the big idea if it's relevant to, well, in my case, you know, a brand execution. If you have a brand like Absolute, you know, a big globally recognised, well, it's more than a vodka brand. You know, it's a lifestyle brand that executes, you know, its brand profile in fashion and music, and also, you know, that is a brand that, you know, likes and requires a big idea. What's your favourite type of client? Probably a brand like Absolute, which is so multi-dimensional, and as said or suggested, you know, more than simply a vodka brand. You know, they exercise their brand profile in all sorts of areas. I've done fashion collaborations and artistic initiatives and music, and it's just such a blast to work on a brand that has such a creative vision. Mark, I could ask you questions for hours, but we do have to finish. But thank you very much. It's been a very pleasant to talk to you. Thank you.